Well, this is going to be one of the most interesting auctions. It's happening after 4 years, the big mega auction, for many reasons.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Straight Bat with Gulf News and Mr. Cricket UAE, Anis Sajan. We also have with us Gulf News cricket experts A.K. Satish and Gautam Bhattacharya. IPL is around the corner, a month away to be precise. First up is the IPL auction that begins tomorrow, an auction that could possibly change the IPL landscape. But before we delve into it, let's say hello to Mr. Cricket UAE, Anis Sajan.
Hi, Sham. Thank you very much for the introduction. Hello, Mr. Bhattacharya, and hello, Satish, and all the beautiful people of Gulf News. Well, this is going to be one of the most interesting auctions. It's happening after 4 years, the big mega auction, for many reasons. So I'll quickly run through the 5 reasons which I feel. One, instead of 8 teams, this time we have 10 teams. So the players for grabs are less. When I say there is more demand, less players. Second, and the most important thing, is that most of the teams, whether it is Mumbai Indians or CSK or the Punjabs, everybody will have to probably build a team from scratch. Like they have selected 4 players, they might to select the other players and have to go heavy if they want to have the other players. And the last and the most important thing, which I feel that, this time around, teams will be much more sharper and would know how to probably break the banks of teams like Mumbai Indians, CSK, who like to build their core teams, whether it is X, Y, Z players. We'll come on to that. But this is what I feel is going to be a very interesting auction, very open auction, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Gautam, let's head over to you. And what are your thoughts on the auction?
Yes, I mean, as Anis said, it's going to be, the landscape of the teams. That's what is going to change. And but at the same time, there are a couple of teams who, if you look at the retention that they have done, I mean, they are going to go for broke. I mean, they will come in with a bigger purse, like Punjab Kings, Rajasthan Royals, and Sunrisers Hyderabad. So they have to be very careful about how they are going about it. Quite an intriguing auction, but I think the first day will set the tone.
Satish, this is the 15th IPL auction, the 5th mega auction, and like Anis said and Gautam said, it is a different scene altogether. We have 2 extra teams, and the pool remains more or less the same. And also I think there are a couple of tournaments in between which may affect the availability of players, which that also might be a factor in the auction. So how do you see the auction playing out?
Sham, the first and foremost is this is a very important auction to take the Indian cricket forward, because what has happened is the Rohit Sharmas and the Jadejas who came in the first set of auctions who were there, they have served the country for almost 14 years now. So this IPL, I would feel that the emphasis will be more on the youngsters and more on the Indian players who would serve the country for a longer period of time. So we will see a titanic or a tectonic shift in terms of the picking the players, because I'm sure every team will be now looking at the next 5 to 10 years, how they will go about from here. So I would say this is important, and the addition of 2 teams is a real blessing, because what has happened is like all the now, as Anis or Gautam would say, that it's a level playing field now, because we have only 4 or 3 retained players. Most of the teams have gone in for 4, and it's like shuffling and restarting all over again. But I would say the emphasis would be more on the youngsters, especially. I would say that this is going to set the tone for the next 10 years of Indian cricket.
Anis, this is we have seen Chennai Super Kings and Mumbai Indians dominate the IPL for a long time. Mumbai with 5 title wins and Chennai with 4, if I remember right. So this auction, the teams can retain maximum of 4 players only, and which means the teams have to rebuild entirely. How will it affect all these big teams?
Glad you asked me this question, Sham. Like you mentioned about Mumbai Indians and CSK winning the chunk of the IPLs, rather out of 14, they have won 7. So they won almost more than 50% of the IPL. So
True.
not 7.
Yeah.
In fact, Mumbai Indians is 5 and CSK is 4.
Right.
So
It's
it's
4,
9,
9.
more than
9.
so the one of the basic reasons of Mumbai Indians and CSK winning is that they've always revolved around their core players. Whereas you look at the other franchise, let's at the moment leave aside Mumbai, Ahmedabad, and Lucknow because the two new teams. The reason of the success for CSK as well as Mumbai is that they've always won and kept the core players together. And this time also, if you see, CSK has held on to their 4 players whom they feel are bankable players, and they will try to buy the other players who have played for them in the last year. Of course, other teams will try to make sure that they buy into their purse or make the bids higher. But I wouldn't be surprised if they stick on to the same players, because I remember Stephen Freeman clear instructions to me whenever I ask him these questions, rather for buying a team or building a team. He says that a franchise is built is not over a period of 1 year, 2 year. It takes 3 to 4 years to build a franchise. And to build a franchise, you need to have the loyalty of players. And to have the loyalty of players, you need to have the same players playing for you for years and years and years.
Kadam, we have seen Rajasthan Royals and Punjab. Rajasthan Royals, except for winning the first, have faded off pretty badly, and Punjab has always been a struggle. How would these teams be able to challenge the big two with this? Will this auction help them?
Yeah, see, they've got to pick up the positives of, the two most successful franchises, Chennai and Mumbai, and learn from there as to, where they did go wrong. It's not about picking up a cream of, a best of 4 foreigners, like what Rajasthan did. I mean, how many teams would have Stokes, Butler, Archer, and Smith, and still end up finishing at around 7th or 8th position? So they need to pick up the positives. And what is the positive? That is, the core should be, the core Indian setup should be very strong, around which they should revolve, and they should get, to plug in. I mean, where they need an impact player, you plug that in with a Ben Stokes, or you plug that in with a David Warner. That's what they should look at doing. Punjab Kings, in fact, were even worse. I mean, they have just kept 2 players. I do not know what was the thinking. Probably
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely
thinking.
correct.
Exactly.
I support as well. Correct.
They possibly want to make Mayank Agarwal as a captain. Now, see, captaincy is again not a merry-go-round exercise. You should be clear about what you want. So that's what, like they should have learned their lessons, and here's the chance for them to take a fresh guard shot.
I'm sorry.
So-
I think I need to start, especially with Punjab Kings. Of course, they changed their names to Kings 11 Punjab to Punjab Kings, but the person who, or the personnel who, or the management who are looking at it, it's the same. See, it really, like there is no method in the matters in Punjab, especially because if you look at 1 year, they chose Ashwin for about 8 crores or something. And then the next year, they let him go. 1 year, they picked Gale and they didn't play him. And now they have let go everybody and kept Ashdeep Singh, who was a rookie in terms of IPL, and Mayank Agarwal, who is not even fitting into Indian T20 team. I don't understand the logic behind their entire setup. But anyway, that's another thing. Okay, Sham, go ahead. Next.
I pretty much agree with you. I mean, I'm sure all 4 of us agree on that Punjab. I mean, decisions were very baffling. I mean, just to retain 2 players and retaining 2 players, and one of them a complete rookie. And Mayank Agarwal, I don't know how good a current captaincy material he is. So big unknowns there. Now, we have discussed that how Chennai and Mumbai have a template for success. They're building on the core Indian team and buying players around it and keeping them long enough and filling just the holes required. Now, what would all of you, I mean, I would think Gujarat or Lucknow would do to make an impact? Because they started a clean slate. This is a chance for them to build a champion side. There is no legacy. There is no baggage here. So I'll start off with Anis again.
Again, a very good question, Sham. For the 2 new teams, as you mentioned, there's no baggage, no legacy. But mind you, they are coming into a tournament which is one of the toughest tournaments in the world, which is the IPL. And they have only 3 players. So they probably have a bigger task in building a team. Like we mentioned about Mumbai and CSK, they've had teams for years and years, and they know how to go about it. At one side, you have probably Hardik Pandya, if I'm not wrong, leading the team.
Correct. Correct.
Yes, Gujarat.
That's Ahmedabad, that is Gujarat.
Yeah, Gujarat.
And the other team, Lucknow, we have Rahul. Now,
Correct.
I don't need to say much about Rahul as a captain. We've all discussed in the past about it. But having said that, it's going to be not easier for this team. As I said, to make a franchise, they will have to be patient and not make mistakes what the other franchises, like we mentioned about the Punjab or the RR or the XYZ franchises, bearing Mumbai and CSK, and be patient in building a franchise. They can take the biggest example in Delhi. Delhi, if you see in the last 3 years, have done very well where they have stuck around with the core players. And that is why they have made it to the playoffs in the last 3 years. So if they have to follow a template, the nearest and the easiest example what these two franchises have to follow is to pick up a squad, which it's easy for me to say that they need to pick this player or that player, but we wouldn't know who will be bidding for that players. They have to be patient, and the owners will have to be patient with the results. They cannot be jumping the gun and keep changing teams.
I know, sir. In the past, earlier in the talk, Satish talk about the chance for the youngsters to shine. What about the veterans? Say somebody like Suresh Raina, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Dwayne Bravo. What is their future in this tournament, Satish?
Shyam, if you look at CSK or Mumbai, the template which Anis Bhai is talking about is built with a perfect combination of mix of young and the old. If you look at and Delhi again for that matter, you have Shikhar Dhawan, at the same time you have Prithvi Shaw. So it should be a perfect combination of young and the old, and that too from the Indian players. See, the template is simple. Only the Indian players can win your matches in IPL. Yes, there will be foreign players who can augment that and give you that extra firepower, but the core strength should be from the Indian players, and that comes with experience. If you look at last year, the Indian team, the CSK was one of the oldest teams. Like they were having all the oldies. But still they did well. So it is important that you have to respect the experience also. At the same time, you need to blood in the youngsters who will also over a period of time, like for example, Ruturaj Gaikwad or even your Ishan Kishan. These guys, they all came in when there were oldies like Surya Kumar Yadav or Rohit Sharma were there. So they were able to adjust and learn from them and carry on the success rate. So I would say that as important as the youngsters, of course, maybe if the percentage, if you look at, I would say 60%, if you give importance to the youngsters, I would say 40% at least you need to put importance or rather pick those seniors. I wouldn't say older players, I would say veterans or the experienced players like Raina or your Dinesh Karthik, even your Robin Uthappas, all these guys will have a role to play to have that complete picture.
Yeah, Satish, you completely ducked my question, and you went to. I will throw that to Gautam. Gautam, what is the future of Raina, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and Dwayne Bravo in IPL?
Yeah, I think Satish is talking about getting the mix right. And what may possibly happen is that, as Anish said initially, that there are, in the demand supply thing, there are lesser players. So these veterans may end up finding teams, but I don't know whether they're going to play.
Gautam, I get that Satish explained that because there is a place for veterans, like what Ambati Rayudu and Robin Uthappa showed the last season. There is definitely a role for them. But what I'm looking at is these are the three big performances on IPL, which is why I put up these three names. Suresh Raina has been a second highest run getter in IPL, and Bhuvneshwar Kumar has been a standout for the spearhead of the Sunrisers Hyderabad, and Dwayne Bravo, in whichever franchise he's played, he's been a standout. But these three are in the twilight of their careers. Do they still have a role to play in IPL 2020 and beyond?
Yeah, out of these three, I would still stick my neck out and say that Bravo can bring you the most value, whoever takes him. I'm not so sure about Suresh Raina anymore, given his fitness, given the knee issues that he have had. yes, he had been as much a pillar of the Chennai Super Kings team as MS. And Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, once again, there's an issue about the fitness. But yes, you're looking at bowling 4 overs. It's all a question of his confidence. He can still be that effective bowler in that 2-1-1 spell. Like when he comes back. Death overs, he had been licking runs in international cricket. Bhubi also can serve any team in the IPL. Not so sure about Ryan.
No, but one
Satish,
thing
I'll come
I would, Sham, now to take the question forward, or what the answer you are looking for, I would say they might struggle in the first couple of rounds because the base price of Raina and Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Bravo are all over 2 crore base price mark. So they have kept it as 2 crores, which is about 20 million if I put it in a millions perspective.
Let's
So I
keep
would
it
say
crore.
they might
I'll
not
see.
be. Sorry, Sham.
Let's
Keep it in Indian rupees.
Indian
That is
rupees.
easy
Yeah,
for us.
okay.
Yeah.
20 crore base price mark. So
No.
that way, I think they might
2
not
crore.
go
2
early in
crore,
the
2 crore.
rounds. 2 crore. That was 2
Yeah.
crores base price. So they might not go in the early rounds, but they will certainly have to wait for a few more rounds before they are picked. Because any team would prefer to pick a youngster or somebody who is more valuable and who is more fitter at that price than, say, for example, if I given a chance between Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Deepak Chahar, I would go for Deepak Chahar than Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Almost the same price value I'm talking about.
Okay, Satish, here comes a bouncer to you. What about Srishant? He puts in an appearance in the auction after so many years.
It can be a good sidelight, but I don't see a chance even 1% chance. Sham, this is you are talking about a very high intensity, high quality cricket. If you are out of cricket for so many years, and suddenly you say that I'm coming in, yes, you might have played an odd match here, there, and all that, but mental fitness, physical fitness, and taking the load and taking it over a sustained period of time, and he is a fast bowler. So I don't see him standing even 1% chance.
And will Srishant get bought by any team at all?
I doubt, unless one of the owners probably has a liking for him and they would just pick him at the base price. I don't see them. He would add. I would not like to make a statement that he would not add a value, because to be very honest, I'm not aware what has he been doing of late.
Hardly,
But,
only so, not much.
So I'm not sure. As I said, if I'm an owner, if I like Srishan and I just want him in the squad, I might just pick him. As I remember, they had picked up last time Cheteshwar Pujara.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a whimsical pick, isn't it?
Correct.
Now,
sorry.
now,
And the funny part is, like Chennai, as much as they picked Pujara, they also picked what are that, Gautam, Krishnappa Gautam, and then he didn't even play a single match. They paid him 8 crores. True.
10 crore cash.
10 crore, yeah.
And I will stay with you, Anis, because this is one of your favorite team, RCB. RCB never won a tournament under Kohli. Kohli is no longer the captain, and how will they rebuild, and what can they expect in the next 3 years?
Again, I'm very, very happy. Why RCB has been always my favorite team is one, because of that Indian dashing player, Virat Kohli. But I'm glad he stepped down as a captain, which was his own decision, that he had played for now, 13 years or 14 years and captain for almost 10 years, but he is not able to get success. Now that he is not the captain, there is a possibility that Virat Kohli's successor, whosoever will be the captain, which I'll come to that point when you ask me who's going to be the captain, but that successor will probably not have that baggage of not winning the trophy, but coming as a new player as a captain. So if I am, not wrong, I probably will come to the captainship part, but RCB this time have got 4 good players whom they have picked. If I'm not wrong, they've picked Virat Kohli. They've gone with Glenn Maxwell. Who are the 2 other players?
No, they have gone with Mohammad Siraj. They have gone only for
Siraj.
So they have picked up a fast bowler. They have picked up a dasher, and they have picked up a veteran in Virat Kohli. So now what I can see is that if I'm not wrong, since I'm jumping the gun, probably they might make Glenn Maxwell as the captain of their team.
Who would you want to be the captain?
For me, if I have to be very honest, I would pick up an Indian player. But now, if you want to go for Shreyas Iyer, the bidding war will be too high. And if they are able to get Shreyas Iyer, I would like Shreyas Iyer to be the captain. I would never like Glenn Maxwell to be the captain, to be very honest. Otherwise, they are going to fall in the same boat as what they have done in the last 13 years. Glenn Maxwell, if you see his record in the Big Bash, has not been that good as a captain. So give him the license to play the free hand as a player and don't make him a captain and put extra burden.
Okay, now since that is RCB and Anis, I will bring KKR to Gautam. Gautam, last few years, I mean, of course, KKR has won at least two championships, but last few years not been great for them. How do you see them rebuilding?
Yeah, no, but having said that, last year they did rebound to finally finish as the runners-up. They do come up, I mean, KKR over a period of time, they do come up with some strange decisions. I mean, like sometimes they make a team which may, lack on glamour, the so-called star power, but still they manage to end up in the playoffs. Now, the question is, the ones that have been retained, I mean, their judgment look a bit clouded. I mean, to end up paying some 12 crores to Russell, and then to also keep Sunil Narine. I mean, I would have definitely kept Venkatesh Iyer and Varun Chakravarti. Varun had been the match winner for them. I think they are the kind of team who may bank again on a few of these under-19 world champion squad, a few players from them, gamble a bit. They may look to, again, consolidate the opening partnership. I mean, we thought that Shubman Gill is the next big thing in Indian batting, but why they have let him go possibly is because of his, inability to accelerate. The time that he takes in the start, he had not been able to give them. So it's an intriguing choice. From what I gather, they're going to go for Shreyas Iyer and make him the captain. I mean, like after they had Gambhir, then they had Karthik. Now they're again looking for a solid Indian player. That's what. So there are good possibilities. They won't spend much. They still have about half of their purse left. So it's going to be a young side. I mean, that could be the owners. They've kept the next nucleus, and you can see some more young players there.
Yeah, we've been looking at young players. Satish, whom do you think some of the young players who can come good in the next few years? I mean, starting from this year.
Sham, I'm sure Deepak Chahar is one guy whom I would always pick, and he's probably one of the players who was really hot and who's been improving with every match he has been playing. So that's one good sign. I would go and look for players like Shah Rukh Khan of Tamil Nadu, who had a good season for Tamil Nadu. He won a couple of matches in nail batting matches, and he showed a lot of temperament. I would say Rahul Chahar, Shardul Thakur. There are many, but after going back to what Gautam has said, like the KKR is, and there are two teams who don't have a proper captain. So that's also probably one thing which we need to look at it when we talk about it later. I'm sorry, just highlighting
that.
But
Anis Bhai and Gautam, both of them want Shreyas Iyer.
But Sham, there is Shikhar Dhawan also in the running. No? You got somebody will certainly pick Shikhar Dhawan. Yeah. Ashwin is also there.
No. Don't forget Ashwin.
Ashwin is also there. That's what.
But Sham, also there. Sham, to interrupt, I think in the RCB setup, I would rather go for a like an overseas captain playing with an overseas player as a captain with Kohli. I mean, for that synergy. Since they don't have AB, what about David Warner? I mean, why aren't we talking about him? What do you think?
Yeah, you are taking an opposite position to Anis. Anis wants a Indian captain. You want a foreign captain. But that's still an unknown there. Let's leave it at that. And Satish, anything more we add, because our time's up and we have time for one last question. You guys, each of you, if you have to, your closing thoughts, I would go start with Anis.
You know what? We probably are running short of time, but I still wanted to talk about, that who would probably break the bank this time. That question I wanted to you to ask.
Go
So we
ahead.
probably will go with this. So
Yeah.
there are two guys. When I say one Indian player and one international player. Definitely,
Okay.
everybody has been talking about Shreyas Iyer breaking the bank. There's one player, don't forget, Ishan Kishan might also break the bank because he's a wicket-keeper batsman. That is
Yeah,
my
that
call.
is true. Yeah.
And in the foreign player, I don't know why. I feel there's a guy from West Indies who's the new or the will be the new Russell called Romwell Powell. And a lot of
Yeah.
players will be eyeing from him. And I would go one more step. If you don't want to have a batsman and you want to have a champion leg spinner, because leg spinners are very, match winners, Hasranga. So if I have to pick between a bowler and a batsman, I would probably go for Hasranga, as because he will be available and his fitness is good because he can also add value with the bat. I would go for Hasranga. So Hasranga for me as a foreign player who would break the bank, and from the Indian side, Ishan Kishan.
Okay. And Gautam, your picks?
My picks from the Indian players, it's a no-brainer. It's going to be Shreyas Iyer. Overseas player, yes, I mean, I would agree with, but captaincy potential will play a big role. Again, I'll come back to David Warner there and his current form.
Satish?
Yeah, Sham, if you're looking at an Indian player who will be the most sought after, I would go with Deepak Chahar. He's been in real good form, and I'm sure he's a good all-rounder, and he's got a lot of wickets also. So I would go with Deepak Chahar. And if you ask me as an international player, I would probably go between Mitch Marsh and or Trent Bolt, one of them.
Yeah, I think you guys are pretty bang on there. See, all these guys are really hot properties. And Anis made some good points about his wicketkeeper batsmen. They are in the top of the heap. They are the most sought after, because that once you get a solid wicketkeeper batsman, again you can fit the rest of the team around them. And out of that, next comes the wrist spinners, because out of the top, the first 55 players up for auction, there are only 4 wrist spinners, which means there will be a scramble for them. And of course, like Sadish, you said, wrist spinners are match winners, and we have seen that throughout IPL, what especially on Indian wickets, what wrist spinners can do. And all in all, well, I think we are up for an interesting auction actually, and I think we will have a chat after the auction as well as to how the teams have picked their teams and what their prospects will be. And
Sham, I wanted to say one passing question before we meet
Yes.
after the auction. If
Yeah.
I am, apart from CSK and Mumbai, the other 8 franchise, I will ensure that I don't give them the players what they've had in the last year. Whether it is the Ishan Kishans or the De Koks or the Shardul Thakur or the Deepak, because I will try and see that I break their team. Because if you give them, they already have 4 players and you give them 2 or 3 players from the same team, it makes their team strong. That is what would be my strategy.
Correct.
Yeah,
Just
but
one point, one quick point.
yeah, go ahead.
I think the teams are not going to get that opportunity because they don't have that right to match this time.
No, but they will probably bid. They will probably bid.
Yeah, but all these players, Ani said, is they're all marquee sets. Their base price is 2 crores, so really they have to really splurge to retain these players. So we can see some interesting bidding wars coming up. I think tomorrow's. I think it's on Star Sports tomorrow, so it's interesting to watch. And perhaps, and definitely, we will after the auctions, we will discuss that.
We'll meet on Monday
Yes,
after the
of
auction.
course.
Or probably
after the
we can meet tomorrow, day after tomorrow, because
day after tomorrow and day after are the auctions. So
Today auction,
Monday we should be able to meet and discuss how strong, how the picks are and how good they are and how they will make the teams. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you, Anis. Thank you, Satish. For more updates and breaking news, please log on to Gulf News and our social media channels. And we will meet you on Monday. Thank you very much.